And to talk more about this, we're joined live from Gaza by Iyad Abu Musa, member of Engineering Association Operations in the south of Gaza. Thank you, sir, for agreeing to be with us.
Yeah, you are welcome. You are welcome, and thank you for hosting me.
And from the United States, Dr. Hamoud Salhi, Associate Dean Professor of International Studies, California State University, Los Angeles. Thank you for accepting our invite, sir.
My pleasure, Islam. Congratulations. And it's so pleasure meeting you, your guest from Deir al-Balah.
So let me start with you, Dr. Iyad Abu Musa. The long-awaited ceasefire has finally been reached after 15 months of killing, destruction, and misery. So how is the ceasefire perceived by the Palestinians in general and the people in Gaza in more particular? And do you think that the ceasefire will hold?
Firstly, greetings to you and to your guest. Really here, the ceasefire words we have in our dreams for more than 15 months. Maybe the ceasefire is deeply want and need. Its essence matter and life matter. It's not just a word. Here, our Gazans linked it as a hope for life. It's maybe our emotions are mixed between sadness and happiness. A lot of time we link between hope and an inability to express about our emotions. Our people is still suffering. When I speak to you now, we under the huge bombing from the Israeli air forces, the targeted tents, and a lot of martyrs now at this moment in Deir al-Balah, and multiple seriously injured. Just a moment when I talk to you. This mixed emotions stem from the overwhelming forces used against us. You can imagine when you especially forced to displace more than multiple times and under the huge rockets and bombings still targeting us on civilians, it's horrible. So the implementation of the ceasefires, we think that the implementations is tied to the mediators, especially the United States. If they hope to pass it, they will force the Israel to stop their genocide and machine of killing. So really, our mixed emotions is still mixing, especially when the celebrating photos and videos is spreading to the all of the world. The Israelis is still targeting us and intensifying the bombing, especially in the Gaza town and in the north.
So let me include you, Dr. Hamoud Salhi, on this. What can you tell us about the timing of concluding this agreement? We all know that the negotiations under Qatari mediation have been taking place for all the period of the Zionist aggression against Gaza without reaching a substantial, let's say, breakthrough. So what was behind its conclusion today specifically?
Well, the obvious one, Islam, is the fact that this is evidence, huge evidence in support or of the resiliency of the Palestinian resistance. So what the resilience, the fight, the struggle that the Palestinians have led in the past how many days and months that led to over 56,000 killed and martyred and over 100 injuries, that is what drives us to here. And more than anything else, when you look at the demands of the Palestinian resistance, they are the same thing, and that they ask that they had before. So it is again the fight, the standing by the principle, the realization that this entity, the Zionist, cannot be trusted. And therefore, they had to rely or get guarantees. So those are two things that are very important to consider. So we did not get here by surprise, or just suddenly the Israelis gave up to this because of what is going on to them. Straightforward in terms of answering this. I mean, a lot of things has to do with the timing. A week before the new term, Biden has come out and attribute this to his team, arguing that the agreement is the same one as the one that they had in May, they proposed in May. But the fact remains that it was May last year, and we are January another year, and the Biden administration could not deliver. What delivered, and history will tell us, and we'll know later on, is perhaps the Trump administration, the fact that the Trump representative was at the table, and the Trump administration appears to want this to end, and they told us to want to end. We've seen sort of a clarity from this administration, from the Trump administration, I should say, where Trump threatened that if they don't achieve ceasefire, there will be hell. Not his term, but that's what ended up doing. In fact, he was suggesting that he was aiming at the Palestinians. But in reality, Trump also had sort of criticized Netanyahu by saying, or supporting a video that basically suggests, or in which it is stated,
sorry, Dr. Hamoud Salhi,
that
for
Netanyahu wants to
interrupting.
drive the United States to war.
Sorry, President-elect Donald Trump promised to end the war in Gaza if elected. Does this mean that the influence of Trump administration has on the Zionist entity and its decision makers, let's say, is beyond imagination? Dr. Hamoud Salhi?
Oh, no.
Since we were speaking about Trump.
Oh, so Islam, I think, and it's very, well, I'm sort of having difficulty giving you a right, straightforward answer for obvious reason. When we look at the record of Trump, for example, the record of Trump is that, he's the first one who pushed for normalization. He's the first one who recognized the sovereignty of Israel over the Golan Heights. So he has a record that is sort of pro-Israel. The people he appointed are also pro-Israel, hawkish, and so on and so forth. But at the end, I think what's happened is that, and again, it's because of the Palestinian resistance, the newly elected president has to face the realization, and he's a bit realistic in a sense, that a war cannot go on. And whether he has received deals from the right extremists, whether he made deals about settlements, all of that. But the reality is that the war has caused a lot of problem for the United States. The United States is very isolated. And Trump, with all the battles that he had to do, he has to sort of come in and take this initiative, if it's his, put pressure on the Israelis to accept the deal, Netanyahu in particular, doing it also to claim that it was because of his efforts that we have peace in Israel. And more than anything else, try to sort of rebuild the United States image.
So we're running out of time. Thank you so much. I'll go back to you shortly, Dr. Hamoud Salhi. Let's say I turn to you again, Dr. Iyad Abu Musa. So the occupation's attacks against civilians in Gaza continue despite the announcement of the ceasefire. Are we going to see the same scenario that happened and is still happening actually in Lebanon? I mean, the repeated violations of the ceasefire by the occupation forces. Let's say, in another word, what are the potential challenges to maintain the terms of this agreement in the Strip?
Firstly, you can imagine the Israeli is forced to announce the agreement before sometimes. The intensifying killing and continuing the genocide, it's a way that we work, still work. The samples that repeated on all over the past wars, these actions Israeli needs to immense the killing, because they, in their thoughts, they need to let Palestinian overwhelming and give up and stop the celebrating. In our thoughts, the Israeli have some actions when intensifying against our celebrations, because they still think the resistance and our resilience must stop. Netanyahu haven't any actions and haven't any way, just all of the world impose him, because this actions is increasing the pressure over the Israeli in the world. We think that here in the Gaza. Before a while, the imposing sanctions over the Israeli is a joke and a joy here in the Palestinian and the Gazans especially. Because we think the increasing pressure just from our stance and our resistance and the stance with the free people in all of the world that support our freedom in Palestine and Gazans.